Welcome to Kolorflow Conversations, where we flow freely, speak boldly, and connect colorfully. I am Keisha, and this is
Takesha.
Remember, I didn't used to say Keisha
Yeah.
this time last year.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say Keisha.
I'm gonna start saying my actual name. And then the other day I was thinking I should start making people call me Keisha, because you know how many Keishas is out in the world.
We've been calling. Okay, not we. They've been calling you Keisha for 49 years. This is our girl chat. Welcome.
Welcome to our girl chat. This is, and you don't think they're gonna stop?
I don't know how that works.
Well, maybe not people that already know me, but when I introduce myself to people, you know, I remember my cousin, we used to call her by her middle name, and then she started introducing
I remember
herself.
the transition.
Yes.
Because I was just like, so when we start calling her this?
Yes. And now it's kind of natural, but I also think that's because we were still younger when she kind of did the transition. But even my cousin who watched this, I don't know if you want to watch this episode, girl. Hey, we used to call her Tamika, but her name is Tamiko.
Really?
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We used to say Tamika when we were younger, but her name is Tamiko, not Tamika. So hey, girl, if you're watching,
Yeah,
but yeah,
hey,
so
we miss you.
so yeah, I was thinking that the other day, like I always introduce myself as Keisha, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, because Keisha is always just the name in all the songs. Mm-hmm. Just I hate to use the word ghetto name, but you know, because all Keisha's not ghetto. But I was like, man, what if I start introducing myself as Keisha? Because when I go places and they read it on a document, they'll say you, and I have to tell them my name. So don't be surprised if I start introducing myself as Keisha.
I always wanted a nickname.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. But my mom would sometimes say Keisha, but most of the time she would say Takesha. She was really the only one. My daddy has never called me Keisha. Like, he always says Takesha. Mm-hmm. And you know, I have friends that say Keish. I love that, by the way. Mm-hmm. But
I have a few people that call me Keish. Mostly it's men.
Yeah, that's why I love it.
Even in the text, hey Keish.
Hi, hey.
I'll be like,
hey.
So stupid.
You know, I got that voice that I use when I talk to the men.
Oh my God, yes, that voice. Lord Jesus. Listen, I didn't mean to start it off like this, but I had to tell her what I was thinking about. That's how I am. I have to think about it in a moment and tell you that, you know, I'm thinking about starting to introduce myself as Keisha with a firm handshake.
Yes, yes.
So yeah.
I do want to take a moment and talk about the plane crash.
How I was going to start.
While I am not really big on the natural disasters, this type of stuff really hits my heart. So I did want to take a moment, and because I was just like, I definitely was just like, I'm praying for their families. And even this morning, like, my son sent me the link from the YouTube. I had already seen it at like 2 a.m. because I was up talking to the Lord.
Yeah.
And but even when he sent it, I was just like, dang, like,
I did. That's when I was driving here. I was thinking, I want to first, you know, say that we are praying for the families of everybody that was on, because this morning it was announced that there were no survivors. But this particularly hit close to home to me because I found out that it was on the American Airlines trip. It was an athletic team on there. And my son is on an athletic trip right now. And he texted me this morning and was like, I can't, I usually call you, but I can't call you. So I have to text you, you know, because we're doing something. But I just wanted to send you a text and, you know, let you know. And I said, okay. I said, well, have a good day. I love you. And he said, I love you too. And it just made me feel some type of way, because I'm like, them people got on that plane.
Yeah, just like how we do. We're getting on the planes, not always, but typically excited about our adventures and where we're going. But we get on the plane trusting that we're going to get to our destination. Period.
And the family, it was one family that's confirmed to be on there, a mother, father, and a son. And, you know, just we get on and just la, put your bags up, you know, we gonna get there. And it just be like, man, I know like when me and you talk about natural disasters, a lot of times you say it don't hit you because you know how things are spiritually. But this dude just kind of feel like this is so sad. And you know why else is sad? And I don't know if this had anything to do with what happened in the air, but last week, all of the TSA and security people were fired. The committees were fired and let go. And it's like, I don't want nothing to be like, oh, it's your fault, it's your fault. But it's like, God
orchestrates things.
Yes.
Yes. I'm a firm believer of that.
Yes. Like when I be reading in the Old Testament, and the people wanted a king. They desired a king. We want a king. We want a leader. We want a leader. And some of the leaders they wanted were not good leaders, but they still want a leader. And he allowed it to happen so the people could see this is what you wanted. Because I heard a man last week say, I will die for this man. I was like, God, what kind of times are we living in?
Yeah.
That you will allow some things. I know why you allowed it, but it's sad.
I definitely believe that we are in a spiritual warfare. I definitely believe that. That's why I have been heavy on praying.
Yeah.
And just constantly, you know, in my mind in prayer with talking to God when my thoughts drift off on the other side to try and bring it back and reel it in and just try and look at stuff for the present moment, but prepare for the future as well, because it's real out here.
It's real. It's real. And I try every day, and I may not be successful, but I try every day to let my last words to people be something positive, people in my life. Let my last thoughts be something positive, and live in a spirit of, if I don't see the people I love the next day, that they know that, you know, I love them.
You.
And part of that was, I mean, last week we had an amazing show with Brittine Harper. And
yes, and for those, if you have not watched it, please go back and watch it, because every part of that episode, it really transformed my life. Brittine, you did that. You was the therapist. When we was talking about me needing a therapist, you did it. And look at me now, girl. I ain't got the red lipstick on, but
but you done pulled your, you know,
I came up out of it.
Like that day. It was like, you know, but she talked about only God knew when her daughter was born that June
that day was going to happen. Yes.
And she had to be a person of God for everything to be at peace and not chaos. I was just like, that stuck with me.
That stuck with me too, clearly.
That stuck with me. That stuck with me. And I'm just like, you know what? I am not going to live my life mad at people, upset, as best I can, because we are human.
We're human and we're in the flesh. But like she had said, I think she said 7 minutes or something. I need more.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back to my 3-day thing, because I was in a sunken place for a whole month.
Yeah.
A whole month. So it's just like, if something happens, you know, I can't stay in that place. And it's okay to acknowledge your feelings, because like you said, we are flesh, but we just cannot let it take control. And it just reminds me, because I always try to learn. Like, I feel like every situation is a mirror situation, even from when I was down and out and you were feeling good physically and you still came on this show looking like a baddie. And I ain't got to baddie status yet, you know, but it just made me think, like, I let my emotions control me when it deals with certain circumstances. And I no longer want to be in that place, because if I want to be uplifted, the first step is for me to uplift myself.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why the you don't look like what you go through is really trying to uplift yourself, not necessarily like you're hiding it. How I was just like, I didn't feel like I was being true to myself. I just wasn't being true to myself, and I didn't have no feelings for myself, Keisha. So it was just like, if you go back to them episodes, I was wearing them same gray jogging pants.
No. Yeah.
And that's just was me being real and where I was at. So,
but this is a testimony of coming out of that for somebody else that may feel that way. Like, I just feel this. And I guess, I don't know if I uplift myself, but I don't ever, just me personally, I don't ever be wanting to feel like, because I don't talk about what I be thinking in my head a lot, or what be going on inside of me a lot that may not be the best feeling of things I go through, or
our mental lectures is
yeah. But I try not to let it affect how, because I just hit the mic. Sorry, I know that was loud. When I look like what I'm going through, I feel like I look like I'm in, and it makes me feel worse. It may not be like that for you, but I think it probably also made me feel worse because of my occupation.
Yes.
So, it's just a difference. But when I take it off, it's like,
but I think uplifting yourself, I don't think it's necessarily like reciting mantras. I just think it's self-care, doing basic things. Like, because my truth is, when I'm really deep in a sunken place, I can be like where I'm literally not doing nothing. I will get out of my bed, use the restroom, not brush your teeth, not wash your face, not take a shower, go to work, get back in my bed. Like, this is literally my truth. So that is not uplifting at all. So it's just like the basic self-care and duties, pushing yourself through. So there were so many things. And when she talked about her husband was her calm, I've had people that have watched that episode that told me how that really related, and how men in their lives
really
are their calm.
I have a situation like that. I probably had maybe 2 situations like that, and again, one was the one that didn't believe in God, which is still psycho crazy to me that I was so calm. Even in the ending of it, I was still calm. And they helped me feel calm. So that resonates with me too, because I was never calm when I was married either time. I was always uptight, or felt, like, I never was calm.
That was big for me, because I just felt like that's like a number one indicator if we was looking for something. I'm always looking for a visual. So for me, that was a number one, because when I think of my first line of contact and who I know is going to make me calm on the earthly realm, it's my father. I've never had that, like, friends, we uplift each other, but from a man, I have not had that. And the one man that I feel like I get it from, in my, what I'm saying, like in my form of meditation, when I'm hearing his voice and I swear he's talking to me, I'm like, I love him. And I want to meet him to be like, you're my calm. You're my calm. But I have to get to know him to see if I could fall in love. Because he was her calm, because she gave us that 6-month timeline.
She did.
And she said, and this is when I fell in love. Woo, honey, that was a sermon, Brittine.
It was so, and you could tell it wasn't fake. It was authentic. Like, it was authentic. It was like, this is what it is. And the fact that I know them, I know that.
Listen, I don't even know them, but my one encounter with him, he was just smooth and calming and relaxed. And it took him about 30 hours to take care of what he needed to, but he never once was complained, didn't need nothing, just he worked.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not been like perfect.
Because I understand that that's going to happen. And that's something else too. Remember when I was just like, I don't want nobody to hurt my feelings? I still don't want that. But what I learned from listening to her and self-reflecting, as I do on every single episode, because these episodes are healing for me. And I hope that they heal from other people. I'm not looking to just be like, oh yeah, girl, me too. I be trying to reflect to see, like, Like, okay, Keisha coming on here looking like a baddie. What do I need to do so I can be a baddie? You know, but it made me realize like there are going to be some struggles, but you still want that person that's going to support you through it. It doesn't mean it's going to be an easy road, because no relationships are easy. Even if it's not a man and a woman. Friendships ain't easy.
So did she little bit?
I'm at a 10%.
You know I'm about to ask you.
I'm at a 10.
I'm like, you didn't change.
I didn't change.
Wait, because for the month of your sunken place.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh hell no.
You was like, I don't want nobody. You know, but I'm going to forever say, because it's people who say everybody not meant to be with nobody. I don't believe that. I believe that he created us to have a companion. Now, when that companion comes, I don't know, because we be thinking, when he gonna come? But are we really, we said this before, are we really ready for the type of companion that we're asking God for? Because we have.
And that's the other thing, like, I am always like the God's will, like how you said, like, we want the king. I don't just want what I want and then I get it. Then now I got to go through this trial because now, God, I don't want this. Can you take it away? It's just like, so I'm always like, if this is what I'm craving and desiring, no matter what it is, remove that if it's not your will, because I can get fixated on, let's just say if it's an item, you know what I'm saying? Like, not like I want a car, but if I cannot get that Lamborghini yours, I don't want no car. And God might be like, girl, you need that cute little Buick so it can get you to do your sessions.
We be having our own desires, but the fact that I know he be working in the background for me, girl, I know that he be working in the background for me, and I just be like, okay.
Yes, I applaud your faith in God and your strong stance. I don't know if I've told you that, but I applaud it, because even if you're having those mental lectures, they're your mental lectures and you're still going to God, and that's what we should do. We should go to him in secret. Everything don't need to be broadcast and talked about. And my sister and I briefly touched on this yesterday, because she was just like, God, it says, like, come and talk to me. And as I was reading Matthew, I'm like, that's real.
Like,
and we know that. And I'm like, and that's that the right hand, left hand know what it's doing, and people move in silence. Like, that is biblical.
It is. And he says that, like, come talk to me. I'm like your comforter, and you know, everything.
And I'm noticing when in my situation of coming out of that sunken place that was so deep, with me talking to him and me sharing, because I do have a soul tribe that I depend on. And I think that that's okay, because I believe that God placed these people in my life for that. So and then like that, I didn't even know Brittine. And he placed her to pull me out of that place, because I'm having those conversations with him in secret and what I know, because I've been told I need an elder.
And that's why when I say he drops people in my spirit, and I didn't know why he dropped Brittine. I know she had a story as far as about Michaela, but a lot of the stuff she talked about, me and her had never had those conversations. I was just as surprised as you, like, for real, you know, like, you know, like, really. We had never had those conversations, but I believe that God leads us to who we need for that moment. It was probably like, he was like, okay, girl, your sunken place is time
like, come on, like,
now. Let me drop this person that you need
canceling consultations, all the stuff that you begged for me, you ain't even doing no more. All you doing all day is, Jesus, please help. But you ain't doing no actions.
Faith without works.
Yeah, you ain't doing no actions.
Yeah.
You don't even want to shower.
Girl, faith without works. And so I'm glad that she came, because I really believe that word was for both of us and for other people, because that episode has been trending. It got a ton of views in 7 days. And I believe that people are probably sending it to other people like, hey, look, You
and
know,
if they not, they should. I'm telling you, it's a word in there for everybody. I feel like that every week, even when we don't have a guest. Don't get me wrong. I know. But that I am giving her flowers virtually right now.
Yeah. It was a big help for us in different ways. And I told you I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times. Every time I watch it, I get something else. And on top of me reading, and getting understanding, I just like this morning. I think me and you had talked about this before. Like we had asked a question: what's the difference between being called and being chosen?
Yeah. Yes.
And this morning,
I still be going through.
I finally,
Jesus, so I'm ready. Girl.
I finally got like the revelation of the difference this morning as I was driving over here. I was listening to a message, and it was like many are called, many are called, but the chosen ones are the ones that fully surrender, that fully deny themselves, that fully, like, you can live a comfortable Christian life. You can live a comfortable, the called can live comfortably and but still do the things that, dip in the world a little bit, but the chosen are the ones that decide that I'm going to take the path of fully doing what he want me to do in obedience, even if it's not, when I say I got to do the opposite of what I would have done, that's why I know I'm chosen, because I'm not trying to do what I used to do and just go to church and, do that thing I would do in church and then go home and do my own thing. So living a chosen life is you fully like surrendering everything and trying to live, living under what his will is for you, even if it doesn't feel good.
Even when it didn't feel good for me, even in my sunken place, I still was doing the righteous thing.
Yeah.
Even when it was hard for me because I wanted to be petty.
Yeah. Even if you look crazy to other people, like you wrapping your head. Yeah. And people probably like, why she doing that? She mustn't not. Why she doing that? Not really.
But that voice, God's voice. And I'm just like,
and you like, I don't care what people think. That's living a chosen life. So now that I'm fully like understanding, and I'm like, oh, so okay, that shows alignment. When I say I'm going to do the opposite of what I would have done, when I would have cussed you out before, or got mad, or rolled my eyes, or been on the phone, gossiping. With, or whatever. I'm doing the opposite of that. So I'm like, okay. So I feel good about it because I'd rather be chosen than called.
So do you think when we're birthed, like we just fall in the called, and then is our free will leads our life?
Yep.
Because that's what I was thinking.
Because you can make the and they gave a story, like a parable. When
I
was listening to the message, and I love the story he gave about a young lady that had, a lot of friends, and they was in a prime of their youth, and they spent every week their work, and then they spent every weekend going out partying, drinking, having fun. And one night they was leaving the bar, and they was walking past this old man who looked homeless, and he said, repent of your sins and turn to God. And all the friends laughed except one girl, because she felt a tug in her heart, like, what was that? And so she didn't say anything to the friends, but the next week she, another tug said, go to that church down the street. So she went to the church, and she listened, and she, was like, okay. So then she go back to her friends, and us, she's trying to tell them, hey, y'all should go to this church with me because I felt this. And they like, girl, some of them was like, you stupid. And 2 went, but the 2 that went criticized everything, like, girl, this is dumb. Like, why are you in here? So she was like, okay, you're right. And then she tried to turn back and go back with the friends and be like she was before, but she never felt comfortable again. It still was put on her. So she went back to the church and talked to the minister, and he told her, you're chosen. You got to deny yourself of how you feel, like what other people gonna think about you, and do your thing. And she got baptized and started living intentionally for God. And while they were losing jobs or stuff was happening and losing things, she started being blessed. She got a really good job. She was, she started making really good money. She had a new car. She was able to buy a home. And it was like, it makes sense because it's like, y'all, like people be wondering, like, why is this happening to me? Why I can't, man, just change your way of thinking. Mm-hmm. Just change your ways. Mm-hmm. Just, it's really, it's simple.
Mm-hmm. You know what I was thinking about? How we're always talking about, I use that loosely, breaking generational curses. And I was just thinking about history repeating itself and how history repeating itself is nothing but a generational curse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, after talking to my aunt about some things that I was going on and hearing her story, and I'm just like, us not speaking about these things and teaching from experience, and then the younger generation or whoever we're talking to not being receptive of the information. Because I think back, I did something the other day. I don't know if I told you this or not. The other day was yesterday. So I always be like, I talk to my mom. I'd be like, Mom, like, you see this, like, Mom. The other morning before I went to work, I sat at my prayer table and I talked to her as if she was sitting across the table from me. And I laid it all out, everything that I could think of. And I apologized to her because I remember her trying to tell me some things and me being like,
you wasn't listening.
That's my son. You can't tell me.
Yeah.
And I think about so many things, and I think about now how we know things, and sometimes we don't even know why we know. Like, spirit has been placing this on people to tell you stuff, but you got to be receptive of the information. So when that's why I'm like, I don't care what it is, Keisha. I be like, why did I hear this? Why did I know this? Why did this pop out? You know what I'm saying? Like, if something, like you say, prick, resonates, whatever we want to know, convicted, I am really tuning in on that because I'm just like, and I felt so much better. And we got some news yesterday, but I still was like, still calm through it because I'm just like, God is going to work it out. And again,
he does some things he allows some things for a reason.
And again, when I stood on how Brittine was, because to me, I feel like the worst thing that I will ever have to do in this lifetime is bury my son. It was hard for me to bury my mother, and I hold on to it because she was 61. We was only 20 years apart. So I pictured us just out here going to Vegas, hanging, living our best life.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was natural for my mother to go first. For the child, it's unnatural. And to still watch her sit there, look beautiful, tell us her inspiring story, and praise God through it all, just put me as, I don't care what y'all do. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
And most of the time I be talking about I be wanting to leave Earth anyway. So if something do happen and I'm up there on the throne, I don't know. Like, hey, Jesus, I'm here with you, Lord. So
you just don't see it
put a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah. You just don't see these generational curses that I had shared with a cousin recently. She my play cousin, but I was like, because we like family, but I told her.
Do Caucasians have play cousins? Chime in and let me know.
I don't think so, but I had told her, I said, being a generational curse breaker in your family is very hard. And she's a generational curse breaker in her family because I was telling her some things that she needed to do to continue breaking curses in her family. And I was doing her makeup and she started crying. I was like, girl, you messing up my work. But I was like, but I have to tell you this because we can't, in order for us to be free, we can't hold on to stuff that somebody done did to, I said, it's time to break the curse.
Yeah.
It's time to break the curse. I'm like, I don't sweep anything under the rug. My family was really, really bad about, sorry, y'all, but y'all was really, really bad about sweeping things under the rug in our family. Things that should have been talked about, things that should have been discussed, things that should have been discussed to protect and for knowledge.
I agree. So I will use my example. I mean, I had Jordan when I was 19. I was still a teen and wasn't mentally equipped, even though I've been grown. I wasn't grown enough to parent, you know. And now that I know the importance of a 2-family household and not having broken homes, because that's a part of the curse too. But I never, you grow up with your cousins and you know your cousins are older than you, but I never knew ages. So I never realized that my aunt was a teen mother as well.
So the curse kept on going.
So it kept on going.
The curse, because it don't have to be in your immediate family.
Yeah.
It could be in extended family that these curses continue to go. And that's one thing I am adamant about with my kids is breaking curses.
Breaking that. Yes.
That they, think that something is normal or whatever it is. I'm like, that's not normal. We're going to talk about it. I literally announced to my kids and my nephews, like, hey, listen, so-and-so is a pedophile. Okay, so I need you all to be aware.
Yes.
And stay away.
Yes.
And they be like, I mean, we do it so often now, like our conversation, that they're not shocked, like, what? Oh my God. We was like that because they didn't tell us nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
But I'm like, no, so-and-so is, so when you see that person, you go the other way.
Yep.
Okay. And if you see that person and I'm not around, you call me and, and you all protect each other.
Yes.
Yes. I'm open with these things, and I'm like, I'm glad that they get to see a husband and wife family environments, if not at home with their friends. Because I tell them this is actually what's normal. My daughter,
because just like how we talked about, I seen it with your parents, and I have other friends who I've seen it who were great examples, and not just in a distance. I said that before because I wonder what goes behind closed doors, but I meant in the terms of like the handling the conflicts type of things. Because even though my parents, I was well in my 20s by the time they were divorced, they really functioned more like roommate partnership. So I saw a business aspect of a relationship. So the other part,
which is probably why you go back and forth if you want a husband.
Yeah, because the other part I'm not very familiar with. So I've only seen that, like, your parents are the only parents that I think I've really seen in my life outside of my aunts that live down south that I only saw once a year that would be together watching TV and doing things together. Like, I've been around these marriages, but they didn't look, a certain way. So seeing it and hearing it and talking through it or explaining why this didn't work so it doesn't happen again. And then, my friend asked me, like, well, if it's the curse, like, how do you break it? And I said, just don't do it again.
The thing that I realized about myself, I realized when I think back early on in life, when I was younger, I realized the things that was creating the curses, but you want that fun.
Yep.
You want what society deems as,
And Keisha, you don't want to do the work. You don't want to surrender, because that's number one. Yeah. First, you got to surrender to God. So if you're not surrendering and still doing whatever you want to do,
gonna have them problems.
It's gonna always be some kind of something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I literally had to share with one of my old friends. Text me a few days ago.
And y'all know her old friends don't be like my old friends, so go ahead with the codes.
And I'm nice now. I answer. We was chatting back and forth, and he made a joke about.
She said I'm nice.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't answer the phone. I just, I'm like, whatever. But and he was joking with me about marriage, and I was like, did we even date? Like, for real, for real? Like, I literally look back and I'm like, I made the choices and created the curses for myself because of the choices that I made with people. And now that I've broken those curses and continue, because it's a continuous work. It's not like you do it and it's done. Every day I have to make the choice to be the girl that don't be the girl that be crazy about boy.
Let me tell you something. And I thought about that conversation that I had with this particular gentleman. And he said, by now we could have been married and your Range Rover would have been paid for. Same type of thing. When the last, like, were we dating? Were we discussing this? Because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing you with a girl and never even said nothing about it. But how was we going? No, but how was we gonna be married in the red car?
Mm-hmm. It's to break the curse is making the decision daily.
Yes,
daily to not do
that thing that is not considered righteous in that moment. To listen to spirit, to be aware. Because I was told about a situation where this person was praying for a job opportunity. And pretty much God was just like, he was going to deliver, but it was going to look a little different, like a little slow motion type thing. Mm-hmm. But the devil presented something quick and looked so glamorous. So the option, the quick and glamorous. And it turned out, as we always know, not to be so glamorous. And they had to, this was a whole relocate type situation and had to relocate. And I'm like, when God speaks, I never understand how you don't listen. Cause I said all last year, I just want God to tell me what to do. 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 Because when God tell me what to do, I listen and I do it. I'll be in my sunken place because in my one situation, he'll never tell me what to do. But I know it's because he wants me to just stop and just trust him and let him work.
Yeah.
Because he's always working behind the scenes. But I be trying to fix it. And then I get like one good little bloom and I'll be like, okay. And they'd be like, nah, I still need to do something. You sit back and focus on you. And that's something else we need to do is focus on us. So I'm like, okay, because God be telling me so much.
Listen, I'm just glad that we recognizing it. Because I think you already knew what to do. It's just hard. To do it. Mm-hmm. It's just
or at least I thought it was. Until God made it so uncomfortable where it was just like, oh, okay, now I did it. Now I feel free. Mm-hmm. 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 But it was the devil, like I kept saying, like talking to me like, you sure you want to do that? Then you going to be a bad person. You don't want that, and it's just like, and like I said, that when I read, was it Matthew 4 or 5? 4? And I was just like, he literally told Jesus scripture. Mm-hmm. And Jesus told him scripture right back and just kept on going.
He literally took him to tempt him to see if he really would do. And like, that's really what be happening with us. Like, you going to be tempted, but you got to make the choice. And he was just like, no, I don't care about none of that. Like, I give you all of this. I don't care about none of that.
I don't care about that.
I don't care about none of that. Girl, listen. When I say I be reading and just be like, ooh,
yes,
like what?
Yes.
Then I look around my room like, did anybody else read this? Because I literally don't.
That's how I be. That's why I be like sending you and Tiffany these 6-paragraph letters and stuff. And then I was just like, how I always talk about how I love my grandmother's Bible. So with mine, shout out to my friend for buying it for me for my birthday last year. It's called She Reads Truth. So it got like a little space on the side where I be writing all my notes in. I be writing other Bible verses like reference, because I be thinking like one day when I'm not here, whoever in my family or whoever gets it can be touched by this.
Yeah.
Because the Bible is based on them sharing their stories of God's word. And we need to keep, that's why
you gotta keep it going.
Keep journaling.
You gotta keep
because
going.
We need to keep sharing our stories.
Yeah, that part, it's like when I read, it's like this is their, like Matthew, Mark, and Luke are like literally all the same, told a different way by the author. And now I'm in Luke and I'm reading it from, he's expanded it. So it's even, I get more information. I'm like, oh, like, wow. Because when I started reading Matthew, I text my friend, like, I feel like it's some parts missing, but I feel like parts was missing from based on what I knew from hearing growing up. So I was like, and then he was like, no, keep reading. It's going
and that's what I was about to say. And that's one thing about the Bible that I don't even know if a lot of people realize, that how so many stories are interconnected from other chapters.
Yeah. It was like,
even back in the Old Testament.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I said, I know I heard that this happened too. And he's like, no, you're going to read that when you get to, I was like, really? I said, man, you see how you be growing up in church and then you be hearing the story and you don't even be reading for yourself. And I don't care what people be saying. Y'all know y'all don't be reading.
No, they don't.
Studying. And applying it.
Studying.
Because I be convicted when I read. I be completely convicted, like, oh my God.
Listen, I be so into it when I be reading, Keisha. Or just especially when I be reading the Bible, but just anything that I feel like fills my spirit spiritually, that I be like, everything else in my life interferes with in my life. Like, I don't want to go to work because I'm being spared spiritually. So I just want to, because you would be like, girl, quit texting me and go to sleep. You got work in 2 hours. I don't care. It's just so good.
You know, I have to be careful to not do though when I read, because when I was reading about him flipping over them tables in the temple, okay, because you always heard the story about he flipped over tables, but when I read it, I was like, I started thinking about a lot of churches that I know, and I was like, man, he would have been flipping over y'all tables. So I have to intentionally not become judgmental on what other people are doing.
And see, not to cut you off, but I feel like that, and we talked about this before, when you read it, it's a lot of stuff that's placed on your heart. When I read it, I just be convicted with my own stuff. I don't never like, and I thank God for that, because that ain't my gift. You know, mine be telling me on what I need to do and how I need to, you know what I'm saying? But what I realize that happens is I get them full circle moments later on and be like,
oh yeah.
But when you be reading it, you be visualizing like,
I be thinking about my life throughout the years, things that I've done or said, people I know, situations I know about. And I guess
that's when I get selfish. And that's probably why, because remember last year when I was just like, this is my God, I don't want to share.
Yeah.
So when I really be in my Bible, I really be in my selfishness.
Thinking about yourself, yeah. But part of...
Okay, go me. I don't know if that's good or bad.
This thing though, part of being chosen out of all the things I said, a big part of that is discipleship. And I sent you a text the other day and I told you was discipling somebody. So you can't stay in a sunken place because you have to disciple.
I had someone tell me and was just like, I can't speak for nobody else, your family or nothing, and I don't want to be selfish, but I need you here. Like, I need you to get better.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know what I'm saying? I know I pour spiritually.
Yeah. And it's a big responsibility, which is why the devil be glad when you be like that. You know what I'm saying? He gets joy, and yep, she sad another day. I got her today. She ain't gonna, you know. I think that's what I think about when it pertains to your sunken place. But it'd be hard for me to tell you that, like, girl, the devil is getting joy out of what you're doing, because you be in a place where you don't want to talk or don't want to listen, really.
Yeah, I don't. that is when I really be in my like defense attorney mode. Like I got something for everything. Like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I think that if it starts to happen again, because spiritually how we're growing, I can probably say, you remember when we was talking about this before, right? I could remind you, because when I get into it, I don't even know if it's a sunk place or a day of depression or whatever.
Sunken place.
So I can remind myself of that. I don't have anybody that.
So you inspiring yourself, see?
I do. But that also come with me. It seems like if something immediately happens that reminds me, you know what I'm saying? It don't happen that quick for you. It's something that will happen that remind me, girl, you done came this far. Like really, 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 you think that now you about to just be, this.
But what I realize is, and I can say it because I know it, and it no longer has a hold on me, but the devil knew the specific area of my life.
Yes.
My weakness.
Yes. And that area is something that's not easy for somebody else to talk to you about.
Yes. And it's not even easy for me to seek someone else's
opinion
or
advice.
Advice, yes. So, and the devil know that. So that's why he kept a stronghold on that area. So it was just like, no, I'm okay. You got to move on. And I don't know, you got to find out what else you got. Because
my nephew came to see me last night. He brought me some food because he done started cooking and stuff, girl.
I seen his little social media post. I'm like, oh, okay.
His mama then encouraged him because he got a cooking certificate when he was in school and stuff. Or I said cooking, hospitality, like restaurant management stuff. So he came over and brought me some of the food he had cooked. And we sit and talk. Now when we sit and talk, because he'll come over, we sit and talk. Like our talks are like me and your talks. Like we talk about what God is doing in our life.
Sir, you know I'm your favorite fake auntie. Where my plate at? You know I be hungry. You know I ain't turned the stove on. I barely know how to work it. I call myself making some tea today. The water wasn't even hot. I don't know how to work the stove.
You done went on a whole rant.
Look, I'm one of them hater people. Like I can admit, like why I ain't get that.
Listen, he came over. I didn't even know. I had put in his story like, you cooked today? Then he texted me as he was driving to Bible class, like, I got you a plate. I'm like, you do? So he came, we talked for a minute, and he started talking about he wanted to do more reading. So I was like, come on. And I took him up the stairs to my room. And this boy was like, I ain't been up here. It had to be like 10 years. Because he was talking about when I had carpet up there and there was a keyboard in the corner. I was like, what? And he looked around and he was like, man, I feel like praising God in here. He said, because I can see like what he's done. And I said, what you're feeling, you can feel for yourself. That's breaking the generational curse. It's making them think that you can't have what God has blessed me with. And I was like, you feel the peace when you walk in here, right? He was like, yeah. He was just like, I feel like dancing in your room. When he's just looking around, he was so happy for me. He was just like, wow. And I said, I'm just shocked that you're so happy because it's just regular to me.
Because it's always been your sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Once you established it as your sanctuary, it's always been like that. I think about that with Cloverline with the people who came and didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Be like, oh, I just want to stay right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told him, I said, we breaking the curses. And I said, you can have what you want.
Yes.
That was my parting message to him. I said, you can have whatever it is you want. And I said, the messages that your mother have been giving you for 19 years is just now starting to hit, but it's not too late. You can have whatever. And he was just like, I got that. So, Tanya, you're doing a good job with your kids.
Yes, you are.
You're doing a good job.
Stay encouraged.
Yeah, stay encouraged.
Because it's not easy. And I say this like as a parent, and my son will be 30 this year because, you know, like we see things, we know the things that we've gone through. We know the things that people in our life indirectly have experienced. So we want the best for our kids. but we also have to understand that it's their path and their choices.
That's hard.
And sometimes we have to sit in that.
Because they don't even know what their path is when we probably trying to force it on them.
Yes, but that's when we have to talk to God and ask him, because again, back to what I said before, he's orchestrating all of this. So if we are communing and trusting him, he gonna lay it on our spirit on what we need to do, when we need to step back and when we need to move forward and how we act. And sometimes the key is sometimes moving a little bit in slower motion instead of jumping as soon as we're just like, okay, it's this. Because as women, I feel like we're natural fixers.
Yeah. As mothers.
Yeah.
You think women
I think women too.
Really?
I think women too. I know a lot of women who are not mothers. I know one in particular who gives me the best motherly advice and has no children. So I feel like, it's the known, like, you don't, as a woman, you're emotional, and the people that you love, you don't want to see them hurt. So that just falls into trying to Olivia Pope everything, the situation. I'm going to take care of it. But we got to understand that our leader, the head of our life, gives us the instructions, but you got to commune with him to get the instructions, and you got to trust it. And sometimes the process may be a little slower than what you expect. And sometimes you've held up the process because of the decisions that you made. So the first step is taking accountability. But what I had to learn for myself is, once I took accountability, to accept that and move on. Because the longer you stay in the place of the mistakes that you made, all you doing there is giving glory to the devil.
I know you talk to my sister too sometimes. I don't know if she ever told you this. She has shared this with me often, that she, and I had to take this advice from her when it comes to our children. She's apologized to God for trying to interrupt what his plan is for her child.
No, you have never, I don't think she told me that. I haven't heard that, but it's wow and alignment and resonates with me, because that is where I woke up and was this morning. Like, I just apologize across the board for things that, because we always talk about how much I love my family, and I just be like, I just want to, but it's just like, no, like, focus more on you, because the more I focus on me, just like I get messages for everybody else, they're not exempt. So while you're focusing on you, it's going to be led, and you're going to know what to do, instead of, again, I think this is where that phrase, what do they call it? Jumping the gun. I think about all them little old sayings that make so much sense to me now that I'm like, while y'all was saying them sayings, you needed to give me like some real life visuals, because I'm like, what do jumping the gun mean? Now I understand.
Yeah.
What does don't let your left hand know what your right hand mean? Yeah. What is that? Now I understand.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah. That
I think that they were trying to teach us things, but weren't necessarily equipped. And on top of it, we be grown before we be grown.
Yeah, every
this is that different. Essential. Yeah. Stay in a child's place.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to always be in a child's place. I want to always be in a child's place when I'm learning. I wrote about how I do not want to be the smartest person in the room, and I meant that. Even if I'm standing in the room and I am conducting whatever it is, I still don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because I need somebody that's going to uplift and inspire me. And thank you for being a part of that.
Listen, I don't ever try to even think I'm the smartest person in the room. Even when I may be, I'm not going to say I am, but I think a place, when it comes to that, it's a place of humility.
Yes.
And nobody has to know what you know all the time. They don't have to know that you're the big bad boss.
Yes.
And you know everything, and they don't know what I know, and nobody has to know. I got one client that texted me for an appointment and was like, girl, I didn't know you knew so-and-so. I was like, oh yeah. And she was like, now this so-and-so is supposed to be some big person in the city. And I don't know how they started talking about me.
You know a lot of big so-and-sos, but you've never been, because it's people. People are people.
They people like me.
Yeah.
And so I was, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. And I'm wondering I still wonder how my name came up, but I don't, to me, that's going to be gospel. Like, how y'all start talking about me? I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah. She said, you know everybody. And I was like, when you want to come?
That was one of my little moves. Like, let's move. I was like,
move right along, because who you know, what they do. I am not.
Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with this situation right now.
I'm happy about where God has me in my life with my career and the things I do, but you are never going to hear me do a humble brag about it, because He gets all the glory.
Yes,
I'm like, I just, I
have been like, for my good, because I want to increase for my good and for His glory.
Yeah. Come on now.
For my good and His glory.
I like that.
And we coming on the close.
Listen, for my good and His glory. Yeah. Because I'm like, I do things to teach, like my children and other younger people. I'll have a private conversation with them, like, you can do this, you can have this. And I may use something about myself as an example, but not in a braggish tone, just because I'm like, He gets the glory. Everything that I've done, God foresaw. The same way Brittine said when Michaela was born, God foresaw June 3rd, 2024. When things happened with me many, many moons ago, He foresaw that I would be where I am now. So I'm like, He gets all the glory. There's no, I'm the smartest person in the room. I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know. No.
We all smart. We all know different things. We all have talents. We all have gifts. I am just wanting us to come together as a collective and put all that together. I think about, and I'm a Black girl, so I'd be like, I'm for my Black people. Use the right voice.
Human talk.
Yeah, no. I think about the Black Wall Street. So I think about, I want us to step in that, and human talk is a way for us to step into it.
Yeah.
Because when people, and I've had more than one person mention doing podcasts, probably about 3. And I've told every last one of them, and I say it here today. I am not like, oh, she doing it, because I am or he is. It's just like, no, get out here. Let's all do it. Invite us on as guests. We need to. It's enough room for everybody to do whatever they want to do. And God gave us gifts, and He put situations in us for us.
Look how many movies and TV shows is out here.
Yes.
This is not meant for just one person to do.
We supposed to be out here supporting each other, uplifting each other, and building a community.
Human talk happened by accident from Dr. Barlow. But one thing I can say is, this is starting a whole nother conversation, so I'm going to just say this real quickly, because we'll probably talk about this next week. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But it showed me how smart we are.
Yes.
And not one person knows everything. There are people who's teaching the same subject in different ways.
And this is what I was going to say too, because that's true. We all learn differently. I can give a real life example at work. We had these new loans, but once she sent out a visual with screenshots, I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. So at the last day, she was just like, I'm going to just have you finish them because you've been doing so well. But all I needed was a visual.
Yeah.
So you and I are both spiritual people, but there may be someone that connects more with how you verbalize it and say it, because we do it differently. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody teach, and like you said, it can be the same subject, because I've seen people come on there with things that I'm interested in, but the way they do it, I'm like, but then it's somebody else who resonates more. So it's just like, but the audience is out there. We all have our audience. If we listening and doing God's work, He gonna send us the people.
He gonna send the people.
He's gonna send the people.
If you're doing what
and if it's one person, because I'm gonna tell you this, every time I be like, I want us to reach the masses, but every time I leave here, I know that these two people right here
was helped.
Yes. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay. Because if we ain't helping nobody else,
we helping ourselves.
Okay. That's the thing. People need to help yourself first.
Because you can't help nobody else if you ain't helping yourself.
You gotta help yourself first. So I talk about that song all the time. When I was a little kid, they used to sing, "Search me, Lord. Search me. Let me help myself."
Girl, and I've been cleaning this house all week.
when you told me that, I was like, really? And you was like, all right, cleaning ain't my thing. Because you didn't need the housekeeper. You started. Help yourself first. I know you need the housekeeper.
Yes, okay. I help myself first. And then God is going to elevate me to bring the housekeeper back in. Okay?
Yeah. Listen, I say it all the time.
I was talking about the song though. Is it Isaac Kyrie? What's his name?
Isaac Kyrie. Yeah.
Is that his name?
Isaac Kyrie. I enjoyed the conversation today, friend. I hope you all enjoyed it. We be seeing, and we still growing, and we seeing people like and share, and we want y'all to keep doing that. Please. I'm not begging, but I'm asking. Share it with someone else. We got some great episodes coming up because after Brittine, we decided that we gonna have more guests on because we was helped by that.
Why are you telling the left hand what the right hand doing?
Oh, sorry. One day,
y'all.
Stay tuned. But
no, you know what? Go ahead.
I ain't say when.
I'm just playing. You know I be having to give my little jokes here, Keisha.
Listen, I want y'all to anticipate each episode. Though.
Yes,
I want you to anticipate
because I am looking forward to it. Because guess what? I finally invited a guest on.
She sure did. And I know nothing about your guests. So I'm excited about that. And when they come, I want y'all to, anticipate when it's going to happen. You'll never know what's going to happen from week to week. So listen, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell a family, tell a foe. No, I'm joking.
No, for real. Well, because they need to be healed too.
They need to be healed too. We will see y'all next week.